Jason Baffrey. We are live, sir.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coach Talk TV, where we believe that coaching and coaches are an essential part of human development. You're going to learn how having a guide in your own personal development can change your life, improve your relationships, and enhance your work experience. I'm Jason Baffrey. This is Rhonda Boyle. You're watching Coach Talk TV, where we have coaching conversations that matter. Happy Good Friday, Rhonda.
Happy Good Friday. Yeah. It is a very, very holy and sacred day for many of our viewers. So happy Good Friday and Easter coming up.
So early happy Easter, because we won't be live on Easter.
No, I don't think so. We don't have plans to.
No.
No. So yeah. So welcome everybody. This is the day 5. This is day 5 of our Discover Coaching series. All week long and all next week, we will be having amazing conversations that matter with coaches from around the world. Today, we have Erin Garcia, and she is right up the road in Tulsa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
We've had a pretty international week so far. We've had guests from India and South Africa. And then we're back home to Dallas and Tulsa. So yeah, we've been all over the place, haven't we?
I know. We've been on different continents.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, Jason.
Yes.
I've been thinking.
Is that right?
Yes. I'm a thinker. Can you believe it?
I know that.
Some people don't believe that. But, I want to talk a minute about, because our guest today, Erin, she works primarily with women professionals, executives, C-suite, all the women who are, working in professional environments, and so on. And we were talking before the show about how it might be more difficult for them right now, where we are in the world, given our situation. We're on lockdown, quarantine, depending upon where you are. And so now all of a sudden, women who are entrepreneurs and executives, they are now at home with their children and maybe even, working with them, educating them. So, right. Wow.
Yeah, I imagine it's a big alteration, and I would venture to say that the majority of women are assuming that response. They're with the kids being home from school, that they're taking on the majority of that. Not saying that dads aren't out there working hard too, and some even single dads, having to deal with those issues. But certainly, I think the moms, and certainly the moms that are in the corporate atmosphere, are having a big change in their life right now, because instead of going into the office, they're working from home, and they're having to deal with the kids and help teach the kids because of the schools being closed, and they are taking on a large amount of work through all of this.
Yeah, you know what else? They are also probably still steering the ship.
Right.
They've got the added responsibility of some, situations still going on with work, with the changing dynamics of fulfilling their taking care of their employees and still somehow keeping essential things going in their business, and now applying for loans and doing some of these other financial things. So they're really having to juggle more than they ever have before.
Yeah. Yeah, it's they are in a position where they probably need a little encouragement and a little help, and maybe some coaching, and because I think for some, many women take on that daily role of being at the office if they're professional, and then they come home and they still take care of the home, and there's a lot involved in that, and so I forgot what I was getting. I had a path that I was going down there, and I just completely derailed.
Well, I just think that it's no secret that women have a lot more going on right now, even though, none of us has a lot going on right now. And, just thinking about how much more difficult the time may be now. And as we transition back in to, opening up our country and the world and being traveling again and doing, going and getting our hair did and some of those other things too. There's going to be a transition because we've got a new normal coming on.
Yeah.
Things aren't the same, and some of them never will be.
Right.
And that I think it's those who are flexible enough, to roll with the changes are going to really have an easier time of it.
Yeah. I think what the key is here is that if there are any men watching, now is the time to really show some appreciation to your wives or significant others, and
amen.
Thank them for being who they are and taking care of all of they do, because they're working hard, I assure you.
For sure. So, we ought to introduce everybody to our guest today. She is an amazing life and leadership coach, Erin Garcia. She is a speaker and a coach, and she's the founder and director of Shift 88, a women's identity and empowerment group in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And she is a founding board certified coach with the Center of Credentialing and Education. And she is a prestigious professional certified coach. Here she is, Erin Garcia. How you doing?
I'm great. Am I centered okay?
Yeah.
You look great, sister. Good to see
Hi
you.
there, from Tulsa.
I know.
Thank you
That's
for
not
being on
too
the
far.
show.
So exciting to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. So let's talk really quickly about your ideal client. It is professional women. And so who do you love working with the most?
Entrepreneurs, that entrepreneurial spirit, the one that wants to grow and do more with their lives. The gal that she might be stuck in corporate America, and she realizes that, and in the last few weeks, maybe they're home dreaming, from corporate in that the minimized situation we're in. But this person may be thinking, I really want to, I don't want to say event planner because that may be a while now because of gatherings, but
Sure.
They may be dreaming of optimizing and leveraging their strengths, their greatness into an entrepreneurial pursuit. Maybe they know exactly what it is, and maybe they're still discovering, but they're just ready to go.
I think a lot of women, not just women, I think a lot of people, period, are going to make a new choice after this shutdown. We've been kind of forced to disconnect and to, have our whole lifestyles, everything about us just completely upended. And I do believe you're going to be busy, Erin.
I hope so. And I have been busy. I have been, and some people are really drilling into their dreams now. The big dream,
That's great.
Life is short.
Yeah, it's really interesting how, this seems like a real drawback, but it is offering people an opportunity to kind of reassess their lives in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So you're seeing that. I mean, what are you seeing from the women that you're working with? You mentioned that some of them are looking at their dreams, but I mean, are they talking like serious career changes, or what direction are they going there?
A lot of them are really realizing that being home, how much they love being home. I think it's like a forced outcome that they've been thinking about.
Yeah.
And they're home and they go, you know what? I could do a home office. I could start my decorating. One lady's an interior decorator. One gal is a network marketer. I'm getting different stances on people. One lady works for her husband, but she really wants to work on her own business. And I think the realization, just taking enough time to sit there and go, wait a minute, what would I rather be doing?
Yeah. I think they're understanding that there's a cost that they didn't really calculate.
Yeah.
And so that it's really a matter of where do you want to put your energy and your time and your efforts. I think a lot of people, I really do think we're going to have a huge change in I think that more people who can work at home, even as remote employees, even I think we're going to see a rise in intrapreneurship, which means I'm independent, but I'm tied to a company. So I get to set my own schedule. That would be an intrapreneur, someone who's making their own choices. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm seeing some of that. And everybody's talking about the reset.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reset that's happening. And I love that word because it's just got so much loaded in there.
I know.
There's a lot of potential.
That's right. More than we ever thought, so.
Yeah.
Erin, I'm curious, tell us a little bit about the Shift 88 and what that is.
Oh, that has been amazing. So my background, I was a pastoral counselor. I still do a little bit. I just don't put it out there. It's different than coaching, as we know. Mm-hmm. But I was a pastoral counselor, and there were many gals that were very minimized in their relationships, emotional abuse, under what we call narcissistic victim abuse and those kinds of things. They're kind of ugly. But these gals many of them are the ones we're talking about that are saying, I could do more. I want to be more. I want to know my identity. I want to step from victim to victor and really move forward. So it is faith-based. I had the dream of, let's just have a group where we're not turning this into a, for lack of a better term, bitch fest.
Right.
We're not
no
talking about
wanted.
There's just no other word that describes this, but we're going to get out of the victimized viewpoint and step over into identity and intention and some of those powerful things that allow us to move forward. And some of those very same gals are starting home-based businesses. So we met live for almost 2 years now at a ministry office here in Tulsa. And I had 4 leaders to start, and I've added 3 more. And, our largest meeting was 62 on a Saturday. It was wonderful. And I bring in speakers, but the premise is everyone has a story. Mm-hmm. And every story has a message. And I've been showcasing ladies that should be speaking and pulling that story out. One friend I work with, she's a story whisperer. But I just had the feeling we need leaders. We need to develop and lift up these leaders, let them speak, let them begin to mentor each other. It's not all about the Erin show in the Shift 88. Yeah. So it's been wonderful.
Well, and these are already leaders too. So that's good utilization of their talents and gifts. Hey, let's check in with our audience here quickly. We have Debbie Lissauer is here. She says this is definitely the Great Reset and dreams are part of that. Joanne O'Neill checking in from Atlanta. She says this Great Reset will bring coaching to the forefront as it has always been, but not necessarily recognized as so essential.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And then Yolanda Gray is here. She loves this identity and intention. And Joanne says showcasing. What a gift to those women for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and being able to work with them to draw out their talents and their strengths, and then to give them probably the honor that they may not have had before, and to support them in taking a step forward into leadership and things like that. I think it's a great endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
And now on our page, they are all being called up to do Facebook Lives, interviews, talks.
Right. Yeah, they're ready to go do their own and stand in their space because you've worked with them for so long. That's amazing.
Yes, many I have coached. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So tell us some of the other challenges that professional women have outside of a pandemic. What are they normally dealing with in the day-to-day?
Yeah, the normal.
The normal. The old normal, which may be, certainly different, but.
So we are talking about very capable, very, very stretched women, and they have to meet the needs of so many, their children, their husbands, their friends. They carry a lot, they juggle a lot. So I have found that they have poor boundaries.
Uh-oh.
And we can talk about that for 2 hours, right? But they
bet.
have the need to learn to value themselves, to do the self-care, and really celebrate it, not and embrace it, not just go, oh, well, I got to do self-care now.
Right.
But learning how holistically that it's just such a good well-roundedness to leaders. And the leaders really they know a lot. I feel like I'm a sounding board sometimes more than anything.
Sure.
But leaders are like, so do you think I should get my nails done with the glitter this time? Or, and so now we're having to be creative in that, right? But can they take 10 minutes without feeling guilty to go take a hot bath, to get on the rebounder and do it for themselves? And I call it the right kind of self-love. It's nurturing ourselves, so that it's really the analogy I always use is the plane. You're on the plane and they tell you to take the oxygen first,
right,
before you give it to the person next to you.
Yeah.
When I ask that, I'll say, who do you give the oxygen to first? And people many times go, oh, the person next to you. I said, wrong answer.
Right.
No. How can you give if you don't fill up?
Yeah, Debbie says, I think women need to remember their voice is important and that sometimes they need help expressing it. And she also goes on to say that part of expressing your voice is accepting that sometimes you need to put yourself first. Hello.
It's knowing that delicate balance and valuing. I love that she said the word voice, because that is what we teach. Even in Shift 88, we talk about our voice. And of course, I have an acronym for it somewhere, but I don't have it with me.
Yeah, she goes on to say, you really can't help anyone unless you are strong. So that's what we're talking about, strengthening your foundation so that then you have the energy and, you're filled up in order to go out and serve other people. And there tends to be, a certain group of people that they are so selfless. They are always thinking about, working about, serving other people, and they forget about themselves. It feels counterintuitive, like it feels wrong.
Yeah.
How do we overcome that? I said we. Did I say we?
I have a tool.
That was a Freudian slip.
I have one tool. I call it the 51% principle. Ooh. And I received it actually through the counseling group that I was part of. And I thought, this is a coaching tool as well. And you talk about you're the CEO of your own corporation. So it's the Erin Corporation. It's the Rhonda Corporation. It's Jason, right?
Yes.
Okay. I got that right. And so you honor your own corporation. And you are able to, you don't let anyone get over 51%. I mean, God, your main influences, it's all under the 49. But you keep that and you only give out emotional investment, categories. Like my kids might get 15%, 20%. My grandchildren 80%.
Well, let's be honest, they want to take way more than that. Those little buggers are hanging on your legs sometimes.
Yeah, and you just have to kind of see it as you're running your own corporation. So I use that model quite a bit.
Yeah. Debbie says Joanne O'Neill says that she wants to add that growing an understanding of what you really need is important also. Then as a coach, then how do we help them discover that?
So you're talking to the tool queen.
Okay.
And I call it the personal foundation. And I found a tool called Needs. And, you have categories and you fill out what your top needs are. Again, this is self-awareness so that you can understand yourself, which leads to self-representing and, self-actualization and all that, and self-expressing. But when you understand your needs and get those met, that is powerful, very powerful space to be in.
Wow. And so you identify what your top needs are, and then you figure out how to fulfill them.
We coach around that heavily.
That's it. That's it. It's like, you're in charge of figuring out, what you need to do to
And
take
our
care of
needs
yourself.
are related to our values.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing those values and letting those really, really be expressed by meeting the needs, those are they're tightly wound. They're they're interrelated.
Well, it's all interrelated, isn't it?
Yes.
Jason?
Erin, do you find that, and I know you primarily work with women, but I mean, do women need the self-care portion more than men? Or I think that's something that men don't even think about. So, what would
They
you
don't even know what that is.
I do work with some men occasionally. We were talking ideal client, but I do coach occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll say, "Hey, I'm going to the gym."
Right.
Now we have to go to the gym that's in our bedroom, right?
Right.
But they're going to take care of that almost. They don't have the sense of. I think women are nurturers, and that's the big deal.
Yeah.
Is we're nurturers, and we have people to meet their needs, and so self-care is more of a challenge to women. Some men can fall in that category. They're workaholics, and now they realize, well, any of us can be workaholics, right? It's not gender exclusive.
Very true.
Knowing when to, oh my gosh, reflect and just, I used to call them sanity breaks when I had 5 children at home. So I've lived this. I have lived this.
Right.
I had all 5 of my children before I hit 30.
Wow.
That's an ebook.
I'm sure you have some stories there for sure.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, women do tend to accept that self-nurturing. I do think that men do also. They read. That's, I'm thinking about my husband, who is very much a thinker. He's in his head, but he's also an achiever. He likes to get stuff done. And so when I observe him, he's reading often, or he plays golf. Again, those are nurturing things. And I do think that finding hobbies that can help people feel creative, can be helpful, or sport things, sport, that wouldn't be for me, but.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everybody gets to figure that out for themselves. The issue is, are they figuring it out for themselves?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. If they coach with me, they will.
Right. Yeah, but we still have a lot of people who still don't really know what coaching is,
Right.
So, and sometimes you just have to give yourself permission to have that. Jason, fill us in on the guy side, because we don't really know what you're thinking over there.
Well, I mean, I think it's, I feel like it's something that we don't necessarily think about as self-care, but we certainly, most guys that I know, have their hobby, or, whether that's going out into the garage and working on a car, or going to play golf, or for me, it's, either going to watch races or going to, race myself and get out there. I mean, that's my happy place, when I can get out on a motorcycle or in a car and put a helmet on and just focus exclusively on that and not have to think about anything else. And, have that little bit of competition and, also just the thrill of, the speed and things like that for me. But, for some guys it's golf, for some guys it's, just going out and having an adult beverage, every now and then, or something like that. But, I don't know that we think about it as self-care.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's just something that we naturally feel like we need to do, in a lot of ways. But
and women don't feel that way, though. We feel like we don't have permission to do that, Erin. Right. Is that true?
That's so true. Mm-hmm. I actually do have a tool on giving yourself permission. 50 ways to give yourself permission,
You are the tool queen.
I am the tool queen.
And I feel like even with my wife, I mean, she has a job and she takes care of me and our children, and you know, she's doing the meals, and you know, she's certainly working much harder than I do. And you know, but I have to like encourage her and say, you need to, you know, take a break, sit down, read a book, go out with a friend, you know, do something and get away from this every now. I mean, obviously it's more difficult now, but you know, it's something that I almost have to force her into at some points in time.
I'm thinking of the family where they all got bikes and they're all cycling together right now.
Yeah.
So there you get family self-care. If that makes sense. That doesn't make sense.
Sure.
Family care.
Well, and especially right now, I think people are starting to recognize the need for that too, you know, just in this upside down situation we're all in. We're like, so this is what that feels like, downtime. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Who knew?
But I mean, I feel like that's creating anxiety in some people as well, because they're not used to that. And they're like, I need to be doing something, especially, you know, you activators out there that, you know, just, and I'm sure you've got your lists and you're getting stuff done around the house, but I mean, you're feeling like, you know, I need to be doing more, or I need to get out of here so I can do what I'm supposed to do and do my job and et cetera. I mean, but I feel like it's creating some anxiety for people. And
that's part of what I help people with a neuro-emotional technique as well. Energy clearing, faith-based. And it's wonderful. The neuro-emotional, we can release that. We just feel better about ourselves entirely, you know.
I think your earplug came out or something.
There, am I back?
Yes, you're back. Good. Yes, and a lot of those different techniques, you know, can be very helpful for sure. You know, different ways of reducing anxiety in a natural way, you know?
Yes.
So a lot of coaches add different little techniques, like you're saying, you have a tool for that, or you have a technique for that. Yeah, hopefully that's what we do. We do have techniques and tools. Yes. You know what? One of the things that I have found, Erin, and help me understand if this is your experience with your clientele, is that sometimes you're known for doing it this way. Like maybe you're a super high achiever. And for myself, for example, I'm a high communicator. And you know, that just means I'm yapping all the time. But there are things that I have found a shift in me where now I'm spending a lot of my time researching, which is what I like to do anyway. I like to research, but now it's like I'm on research steroids. And for me, what I recognize, it would be different if I was doing it and I didn't understand. But I recognize that what I'm doing is compensating and coping. So we each have certain coping strategies that it's okay to use and overuse something for a short period of time, just so that because what you're doing, or what I'm doing anyway, is just kind of trying to regain my equilibrium, I guess, a little bit, or be empowered in the areas that I know I can be empowered.
Yes. And so if you're on a way, you know, I know we were talking a little bit about a signature. I talk a lot about our triggers and our blocks and our saboteurs. And that is a tool of sorts. Those, you know, saboteurs are automatic mental patterns that really are designed to limit us. We limit ourselves when we're on a path. And I heard about this tool in my research, like you're talking about, several years ago. And it's a positiveintelligence.com is the executive coach that wrote this. And you go on there and you take the assessment for the 9 saboteurs. And those saboteurs are things like avoider, restless, pleaser, stickler, victim, controller. I love these last ones: hyper rational, hyper vigilant, and hyperachiever. And then there's one, and then those are all cousins to how we kind of self-judge ourselves. And so what we've learned is the self-defeating part of that can be changed over. There's a shift that happens and you think, no, I'm not going to listen to their voice. I'm going to listen to the sage within, the wise me that's within. And I think it's powerful when we can do that and we really come into a place where we're not self-sabotaging at all. We're empowering, self-empowering, if you will. And I like that you said a word that I often think about is the empowerment piece, but giving ourselves permission and allowing us to move forward is the opposite of being sabotaging ourselves. So I use this assessment when someone's very high achiever maybe, but it's overcompensating. That's the word I was looking for. An overcompensation for what I call imprint, the imprint of trauma and that sort of thing, behavior patterns we form. And those become triggered when we're under stress, anxiety, or we're trying to live bigger, go bigger. And so I really love using this tool to help invigorate someone. And instead of, say, for instance, instead of being a controller, they learn to be directive. So I have all these little opposites. Instead of a pleaser, they get to be self-representing and their own identity and representing that, expressing that. So that's a lot I just said, but that is a fantastic tool because we trip ourselves up first. We're our own worst enemies. And if we see that in this little evaluation, I can be restless, very restless, and I can be hyperachiever. So now just enough achievement. I don't need 5 more certifications.
Well, I know we might. That's what we tend to do as coaches. We go get another one because there's always more to learn, and we always want to be cutting edge. I like what you said that by understanding the self-defeating, the saboteur, you have to get what it is and call it out for what it is. And then you can shift it into some type of positive purpose. So it's that self-awareness that I think is what we're bringing forward.
And many leaders, they are the hyperachiever. And it's like, down, girl, down. Just
they are dying right now.
Oh, yes. And so I have that one. That is one of mine. I'm like, okay, time to reflect and reset and enjoy. But, and then the one restless, the opposite of that is focus and all this power focus. And so I try to shift it into a positive so that it isn't just going for the juggler all the time with people. I'll say, well, there's your little restless. There's a picture online that I have with my material where you're hitting yourself. It's hilarious.
Hey, Debbie is chiming in. She says she finds that. I
cannot hear you.
Oh, can you hear me, Jason?
Yeah, I can hear you, Rhonda.
Okay, well, I'll keep going. She has said that she finds that panic never goes out of style. Debbie, that is so you. She says she's also a 10. She's familiar with the assessment you're referring to, Erin. She says she's a 10 in both controller and pleaser. You must control through pleasing, Debbie. That might be how that's happening.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think we might have lost Erin's audio here, unfortunately, and she just turned sideways, so I don't know what that's all about.
So
hang on.
Let's hope that she can get back in here in a minute.
It's funny. She was talking about when she was going through that list. I heard hyper rational and hyper vigilant, and I was like, oh, that sounds like it could be me in some capacity. So
that sounds like it's possibly you, sir. Here she is back. Hey, these are hashtag first world problems. We just keep on moving, Erin. So listen, we just got a confession out of Jason. Tell her. Go ahead, fill her in.
You went through the list, and I was just saying that when you said hyper rational and hyper vigilant, those kind of rang true for me just a little bit. So
and you can go back to each of those and find kind of the root in the family, usually family of origin, where that came from. where there's that meme out there that talks about the bossy little girl, and someone says, no, she's a leader.
Oh, right.
So, but it's many times we overcompensate for things we went through. I will give a confession. I'm a former anorexic, so I'm over recovered anorexic. I have a new eating disorder.
No, you're fine.
And my husband's the cook, so that's the hoot. But
sure.
I have a book out called The Real Skinny on my anorexia, out on Amazon. I didn't know if I was supposed to bring that up or not today,
You
but
can.
but it's remarkable how much stickler on here is perfectionism. It's one of the saboteurs.
That would be mine.
And so instead of a stickler, you become flexible and collaborative.
Wow, interesting.
And I wrote that. The guy didn't. And then instead of hyper rational, you become empathetic and sensitive. And then let's see.
Jason, you got your marching orders there.
Yeah,
be
that's gonna be a lot of work coming up.
And getting out of your own head, so to speak. And then hyper vigilant, the opposite is peaceful attentiveness and awareness.
Wow. Hey, so you heard that Debbie has taken this. She's a 10 in controller and pleaser. And then Yolanda has checked in. She's coming in for Virginia. She says, we pleasers try to control through pleasing, and it never works. And then Debbie also agrees. She says, I please until I feel out of control, and then look out.
And they probably had hard to please parents.
Yeah, maybe. You know, what we're talking about, Erin, is something that we all experience. And we talked about it yesterday with our guest too, is that we have these patterns that we continually fall into when we're triggered. So what's important is to notice your behavior, hey, gosh, and every one of us has said this in our lives. Wow. I can't believe I did that again. Yeah, you did, because you did it again because you fell in the rut, the pattern you fell back into, and you didn't notice. But, that's a good sign when you say, wow, I can't believe I did that again. That's when you need to go, hold on a minute, and track back to see the path you took, because trust me, you've been there before.
Absolutely. And I always say triggers are basically a value, a core value that's not being met.
Yes.
It's an unmet value in there.
Oh, Jason, you're so busted, because Debbie says, remember, your word of the year is joy. So hyper rationale has got to go. I love how our people tell us what we need to be doing. Because they know us, right? Which is wonderful. Oh my goodness. Erin, you are an amazing coach with fabulous tools, especially for the professional woman, the entrepreneur, anyone who is really working to achieve things. And so we want people to know about you. We're so glad that you came by to hang out with us today.
It's wonderful.
So how do we tell people where to find you?
So I just have a landing page currently.
Perfect.
And it's erinkgarcia.com. And that really tells my story. The whole big detailed website is still being created because I shifted. I changed up my niche. I found out my real niche. It evolved. And I used to do relationship coaching. Mm-hmm. No, not now. Nope. Go to your therapist.
Oh my goodness.
and it's a fine line. And then, that's the best. Also, I'm under Erin K. Garcia, Life and Leadership Coach on Facebook.
Okay.
They can look me up that way and contact me if they want more information of any of these tools as well.
Awesome. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to go pop that in the chat box on the show notes, and that'll be great. We'll have all that for our people who come see the replay.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for having me today.
You bet. Yeah, we'll see you in the green room in a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Erin. She's so fun.
Yeah.
And really such experience, with her pastoral work and,
Right.
then shifting, and that coaches do that a lot. We will start off working with one set of clientele, and then we'll really start to shift into who we really, really have the heart for. So, and that always happens.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah.
I know. She's
Great.
got a lot of tools for sure. In
Great
fact, I'm going to go look in her toolbox.
Yeah, are you? I'm not surprised. Yeah, great ending to the week, the first week of our Discover Coaching series here on Coach Talk TV. And so we'll be back next week, Monday at 1:00 Central Time with our next show and another full week here in the Discover Coaching series. And of course, don't forget that you can find us at coachtalk.tv, and that'll take you straight to our Facebook page, or you can just look us up on Facebook, Coach Talk TV. Mm-hmm. Also, go check out our YouTube channel and find us on there. Subscribe. You'll get notifications when the new shows come out. And if you just like to listen to the audio, or you're going to be driving or working and you can't watch, then we encourage you to get the podcast. You can find it at iTunes and Google Play and Spotify and all of the other big podcast outlets. And all you have to do is search Coach Talk TV. And Rhonda?
We have some great shows you can download, a bunch. Yeah, like 20.
Yeah, and more coming up next week.
You bet. And you can find me at rhondaboyle.com.
And you can
look forward to seeing you.
Look for Baffrey on all your social media outlets. Thanks, everybody. Once again, have a happy Good Friday and a very happy Easter, and use this time as a reflection of how blessed you really are.
Mm-hmm. Amen. All right. We'll see you next week, everyone. Thanks.